Today we learned that the Detroit Tigers bullpen can, in fact, give up runs. Let's talk about that and more all today on Locked On Tigers.
You are Locked On Tigers, your daily Detroit Tigers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of Locked On Tigers. I'm, of course, your host, Scott Bentley. Today is Wednesday, April 30th, 2025. Thank you so much for making Locked On Tigers your first listen every single day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts, including YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by Monarch Money. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONMLB at monarchmoney.com for 50% off of your first year. Hope you all are having a fantastic week so far. Happy Wednesday, the halfway point here. The Tigers lose 6-4 in Houston on Tuesday night. That brings their record to 18-12 on the season. And this is a series loss for just the third time this season so far. Obviously, you have the sweep to start off the season. Then you have the series loss to Milwaukee, this being just the third series loss of the young season. Really, my first thought was what I said there in the cold open. The bullpen just finally showed that it's human. So far this season, this team has played in a lot of close games, and the bullpen has been rock solid. And in almost all of them, right? And so you were bound to have one of these eventually. We've been gassing up Will Vest a lot. I certainly have on this show and talking about how he's been one of the better relievers in baseball. Finally takes it in the chin a little bit for the first time this year. Got hit around the yard very, very easily. And we'll talk about that in depth a little bit more later. But with the way that this team is assembled, it comes with very, I don't know if I want to use the phrase little room for error, but I think that that's probably true from the bullpen's perspective. Like, they don't have much room for error a lot of the time. And that's like, okay. I'm not saying that that's some big negative on the team this year. And that's, going to cost them or that's the sign of like a bad baseball team. They're 18-12 and they've come out on top in a lot of those. They haven't been blown out yet either, right? Like we talked about that just like a week and a half ago on the show. It was like every single game that they've lost even has been somewhat obtainable at one point as well. And that's also the reason they're winning so much, is because they are in every single game. And so it's like it just comes with the territory, really. Losses are going to look like this. And they're going to look like they did on Tuesday night. You're just going to have every once in a while, like this is a good bullpen. I don't think that this bullpen like sucks because of one game on a Tuesday night in April. Like I we have a lot more evidence to prove otherwise. So really in this game, there was a handful of things that went wrong. Some of those things I'm not worried about long-term, the bullpen. And some of those things I am actually a little bit more worried about long-term. So let's get into those. What went wrong? We will start with the bullpen just because I think that that's one of the biggest difference makers in this game. Will Vest specifically, I'm talking in general about the pen because Will Vest is such a key part of the bullpen. But in this game, he really wears it more than anybody else. 1 inning pitched, 5 hits, 3 earned runs, 1 walk, no strikeouts. His ERA after that brutal performance is still 2.77 on the year because it was like 0.7 going into this outing. So, like he was also, I mean, even dating back to last year, like he hadn't had a bad outing since like July of 2024. So like it's okay. I still think Will Vest is very, very good. This just is a long season and it's going to happen at some point. So, when it comes to why he struggled, it wasn't like his stuff was just terrible. He only had one swing and miss in this outing, which for him this season has been really rare. Usually he has a ton of whiffs, is my point. And it just go look at the command. Like that was really it. He had a couple of when it rains, it pours moments where like he threw a slider low and outside. I remember one specifically that still got hit. It wasn't even close to the strike zone and was a 90-mile-an-hour slider, but just got the bat on it and it blooped into center field. Like, it's baseball, kind of can snowball sometimes, but you go look at some of the fastballs he was throwing up there, man. Those are hittable, I guess would be the word I would use to describe them. You're talking about over the middle, like the heart of the plate with that fastball quite often in this one. So that's really what it comes down to. Will Vest is still really, really darn good and having a great year, but this outing clearly that was not the case. When it comes to the other two relievers that were used in this game, Chase Lee only goes a third of an inning with one hit, one walk, no earned runs to his name. He is going to be used throughout the season, and he might kind of, bounce back and forth and kind of yo-yo between AAA and the majors, but he'll be used a lot, and he does have value being that right-handed hitter specialist. But anytime he's put in a position where he's got to face a string of guys, it's going to be a test for him, especially if any of those guys are lefties. So Hinch is smart. Hinch knows what he's doing and when he's utilizing guys. I think that he will he knows what the best situation to use Chase Lee going forward is going to be. If he's not going out there and getting the guy out or the guys out that the coaching staff and management wants him and is bringing him in to get out, the targets, right, if you will, then there's definitely kind of a chance to snowball, because I think he's a guy that, again, if lefties, whatever, I'm just talking in circles. And then Kenta Maeda, technically throws one inning of perfect, quote unquote, baseball with one strikeout. Actually, that's not true. He did plunk a guy, so that's not a walk. That's not on the box score, but he did hit a batter. So not a perfect baseball, but of no hit baseball, I guess. I don't care that the box score looked the way it did. Like he spiked a ball. It literally looked like 50 Cent. Like, the 50 Cent first pitch when he like spikes it and it goes way, or was John Wall had a terrible one too? I feel like that he spiked into the ground. Maybe that one's more similar. Either way, it was really bad. And then the following pitch is when he gets his hit batter, like just all over the place. Did record a strikeout to his credit. I'll reiterate, all the respect in the world. Great career, great everything. And hopefully this is like not the end of it. Hopefully he can go and try and make some tweaks and be better. But I can't fathom the Detroit Tigers are going to keep Maeda on this roster throughout the entire season. I think it's probably once they feel comfortable with the pitching depth they have organizationally and some people get back from injury, that he's going to be on the outside looking in there. So we'll see what happens. And like I'll reiterate before we move on, I still believe in this bullpen, that they weren't going to have a 0 ERA the rest of the season. This happens when you play a lot of close games constantly over and over again. It'll happen a handful of times going forward too. Like prepare the bullpen, believe it or not, it's April. The bullpen is going to blow more than one game the rest of the season. It's going to happen. It's okay. Over the course of 162, I still take this pen over most in baseball. Let's talk offense. Okay, let's get off the pitching. I'll stop reiterating the same point over and over. Let's go and talk about the lineup here. And because I thought that there's a pretty glaring issue in the lineup in this game that I actually am kind of worried about long term, unlike the pen. Okay, we'll talk about that right after this. Going to talk to you today about our friends over at Monarch Money again. Ever check your bank account and wonder where the heck did all of my money go? Well, between dining out, online shopping, and entertainment, wholly speaking, it is easy to lose track. That's where Monarch Money comes in. It's your personal CFO giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app either. It's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, and spending all in one place. So you stop managing your money and you start building wealth. When I started using Monarch, I realized just how much money I was spending on food delivery. Now I budget smarter and save even more. Instead of juggling multiple apps that do a bunch of different things with your finances, Monarch Money is awesome because it is all in one. You can check your finances, track your spending, plan long-term goals all in one place. So take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONMLB at monarchmoney.com for 50% off of your first year. That's a year. That's monarchmoney.com. Code LOCKEDONMLB for half off of your first year. All right, everybody, welcome back here. Segment 2, Locked On Tigers. Appreciate y'all for tuning in, as always, making us your first listen every single day. Shout out to the everydayers that do tune in every day. And we will, of course, be back tomorrow as the Tigers look to avoid the sweep against the Astros on Wednesday, an afternoon ball game in Houston. Today, though, we talk about the 6-4 loss at the hands of the Houston Astros in their, whatever the heck it's called now. The Minute Maid was such a good, strong name, and now it's weird. Okay, let's talk about the lineup. So offensively, they score 4 runs, and that's not like a terrible day at the office. It's not some overwhelming, oh my goodness, this is the greatest offense ever, but like it's a solid day. And with the way that this team has been pitching, that is going to win you a lot of games so far this season. The issue I have is we're going to cut the lineup not quite exactly in half, but we're going to look at the bottom third of the lineup, okay? The 6 through 9 hitters in this game. That's 6, 7, 8, 9. 4 hitters plus 2 pinch hitters that I think both had multiple at-bats. So that's 6 total hitters in that bottom third of the lineup. They all went a combined 0 for 15 with 1 walk in this game. That is just simply not going to cut it long term. And that kind of goes without saying. I'm not telling you something that when you hear that stat, you don't already know, right? Obviously, this lineup needs to be deeper, needs to be longer, right? Like we know that the talent at the top of the lineup can produce. And we'll talk about that on the side of things that what went right? Like the top 5 hitters in this ball game did really well. All of the run production came from up there. So we know that Kerry Carpenter, Riley Greene, despite the slump earlier in the year, Torkelson's had a great year. Gleyber Torres looks great. Zach McKinstry's been incredible, right? Like we're pretty confident in that top 5. The bottom 4, 3, 4, 5, depending on the day, is where there's question marks. Let me read you off the names, and you tell me how many of these guys you are confident in offensively over the course of 162. Colt Keith, Justin Henry Malloy, Trey Sweeney, Dylan Dingler, Jace Young, Andy Ibanez. That is everybody, 2 pinch hitters included, that hit in the 6 through 9 spots in this ballgame. I mean, we can go one by one. Andy Ibanez hitting lefties pretty well, but doesn't have very good season stats because he can't hit righties. Jace Young has not hit yet really as a major leaguer dating back to his debut last season, and that has not changed whatsoever this season. Trey Sweeney has been around a 200 hitter that runs into some homers every once in a while so far since getting called up in the middle of last season. Also swings and misses and strikes out a ton. Justin Henry Malloy hit around 200, if not under that, last year. Can draw a walk, does have some power when a lefty's on the mound, but hasn't seemed to improve. He's hitting 189 with a 668 OPS so far this season. And Colt Keith is probably the most documented player in terms of, struggles so far in the entire roster. He's hitting 171 with a 518 OPS now. Dylan Dingler is the one exception to that. He has hit well this season, hitting 272 with a 737 OPS. So and even those numbers have gone down pretty substantially over the last week and a half. So that is the one thing out of this game that I take and I go, you know what? That didn't go right in this game. And I can kind of see how that might be a problem over 162. That might not just be a one-off, okay, but I'm not worried about it long term. That's something that was a concern going into the year. You could argue cost them this ball game. And there are legitimate concerns when looking at those 6 names that none of those guys hit very well the rest of the season. Now, I'm not saying that none of them will. I still believe in Colt Keith, the player, long term, pretty wholeheartedly. And Dylan Dingler has hit pretty well. Jace Young, hopefully with more at-bats, can get better. Ibanez, we know, will hit lefties to an extent. Malloy, hopefully there's some improvements there. But all I'm saying is it's not out of the realm of possibility that this is a reoccurring issue long term. That's all. Defensively in this game, I thought it was kind of, I don't even know if sloppy is the right word. It was to be desired. I don't know why I got really philosophical there. It was just a defensive performance that I think that you saw why they need some players back from injury. I would really like Javi back at shortstop. I would really like Parker Meadows in center field. And both of those things kind of, while there wasn't, egregious errors or anything, there were just a couple of plays that you're like, man, if this lineup is actually defensively aligned how it's supposed to, that probably doesn't happen, or it's not as bad as it looks. Really, the biggest one continues to just be center field, man. There's so many balls that are just dropping in front of Javi and Riley Greene. They're letting him hit the ground that Parker Meadows has, blindfolded walking backwards while snoring. And it's just, that was a weird, I've never used that analogy before. But you know what I mean? It's just something that is very apparent over a big sample size. So hopefully we get him back soon. Let's talk about what went right in this game. The top half of the lineup. As I said, you had 9 of your 10 base runners in this ball game all came from the 1 through 5 hitters. And Torkelson gets 2 walks in this one. I think it's actually more reassuring to me that even when he goes a few games without a base hit, that he's still drawing walks at a really good clip. That's the sign that he knows what he's doing up there still. He's seeing the ball well. Even if it's not resulting in as many hits as it was a couple of weeks ago, he's still finding ways to get on base. And that's really important. I think that's the sign of a guy that is still pretty darn locked in at the plate. Gleyber Torres, if there was a player of the game award, I think it's hard not to give it to him for the Tigers. 3 for 5 with 3 RBIs, the home run to make it a 2-run game. That's the other thing. At 6-4 final. Ends up being kind of close, but it was 6-2 there with 2 outs in the bottom of the 9th. Look, Gleyber, honestly, I was even more impressed with the RBI single he had, or double, whatever, the RBI hit he had earlier in the game. That was just such a professional at bat. And that's what he brings this team, man. Just a constant, steady. Is he going to have a 900 OPS? Is he going to hit 40 home runs like he did in whatever his rookie or second year in the league? No, but he is going to be a constant, consistent professional at bat at the top of this lineup that's not afraid to draw walks and doesn't strike out very often. And that is something that I think this team really needs, just to kind of keep everybody's head level and be like, you know what, at a minimum, we're going to get professional ABs out of him tonight. Carpenter, home run to start the game, was a wild situation. Kerry Carpenter gets hit in the toe, turns around and goes, hey, I got hit in the toe, and starts running to first base. The umpires don't call it. They take a look at it, and they go, it's kind of, 50-50. They don't give him the call, and the next pitch, I think, he goes yard. So kind of hilarious, but good start to the game. And obviously Carpenter one of, if not the best hitters on this team. And I am going to have Reese Olson on the side of things that went right. Not the prettiest box score and final stat line in the world, but 5 2/3, 4 hits, 3 earned runs, 3 walks, 7 strikeouts. His ERA is now 3.55 on the young season. I thought he was pretty good, to be honest. Like, he had 18 whiffs in 5 2/3 innings, man. That is unbelievable. A lot of swing and miss still there. I thought the changeup was phenomenal. The sinker was really solid. That's a pitch, he didn't throw very many four-seam fastballs at all in this game, which I kind of appreciate. If you're not going to get swing and miss on any variation of your fastball, you might as well throw the one that's going to hopefully induce weak contact or ground balls. And that was kind of the mindset here. He actually got a lot of called strikes with the sinker in this ball game as well. I think the tunneling to righties of, you got to respect the changeup and the sinker look pretty similar, but are 10 miles an hour apart in velocity. And then, you throw sinker low and outside, and it kind of hits the corner barely there. The strike zone, then throw slider low and outside, and you make the hitter look goofy. I mean, he's just got such good stuff. Again, like, obviously not the prettiest stat line in the world, but was 1 out away from a quality start. 6 innings, 3 runs. So, the biggest question mark from this outing was just command was not very good. But I think even then, and it wasn't good, you go look at especially that 6th inning when he got pulled, some meatballs, okay? Like, he deserved to be pulled from this outing. He really struggled with command late, but if this is what a bad start or the floor for Reese Olson is now, where it's like, oh, he wasn't locating anything well and it looked like this, he's going to have an incredible year. So I think he'll be okay. His stuff is still too good in my opinion. And this really, again, wasn't the worst outing in the world. Let's talk stuff. Okay. And then we'll preview the game on Wednesday. We'll do that right after this. Got to talk to y'all today about our friends over at Wonderful Pistachios. If you're looking for a snack that's both delicious and nutritious, crack into a good source of protein with Wonderful Pistachios. Wonderful Pistachios is one of the highest protein nuts. Each 1 ounce serving has 6 grams of protein, giving you over 10% of your daily value. Plus, they're packed with fiber and better for you unsaturated fats to keep you feeling fuller longer. Personally, as you all know, I love the no shells variety. It's the perfect grab and go snack for busy days, whether I'm snacking on my desk, on a road trip, or just need a quick protein boost. They're always my go-to. And if you love cracking open every shell for that satisfying crunch, well, the in-shell options are a classic favorite as well. So get snacking and get cracking with a snack that packs a protein punch. Visit wonderfulpistachios.com to learn more. All right, everybody, welcome back here. Third and final segment of Locked On Tigers. Appreciate y'all for tuning in as always. Let's talk stuff. A lot of mistakes with 2 outs for the Tigers in this ball game, which, if there is anything to be frustrated about, that was kind of the thing that pissed me off the most while watching the game, was that they just allowed so many base runners with 2 outs, man. If you can just finish off an inning, this is like a comfortable win. You're cruising. But we start with Reese Olson, then you have the one later in the game too. I mean, my goodness. So, that's what professional teams do, though. And the Astros, say what you will about them. And I'm not even talking, we have the manager of the cheating thing. So, I'm not even really talking about in that regard. But, over the years, they've had a ton of talent. And they have lost a lot of talent. They have lost a ton. It seems like every offseason they're losing one of their best players in their organization. And yet they're just absolute dogs, and they fight through and put together really good seasons year after year. And this year appears to be no different because of that. They're a really professional baseball team and have a lot of professional hitters in that lineup. So that's, the inning's not over with 2 outs. And that, honestly, Flaherty gave up. He had nobody on 2 outs on Monday night, walked a hitter, and then gave up a homer. You got to finish off an inning, man. Got to finish it off. And this game was no different. Off the field, Manuel Margot is beginning a rehab assignment in AAA, which I think is a pretty good sign that he will be back relatively soon. Usually, I mean, pitchers just take longer in general because of arm health and whatnot. But generally speaking, if you're getting sent straight to AAA, you're probably in pretty decent shape. So hopefully that means he's returning soon. Now, I don't think the Tigers have any confidence putting him in center field. So, like, I don't really know what this changes other than, like, Malloy can possibly get sent back down. He's really struggled since the first, week after getting called up. I don't know. Jace Young, maybe, I guess, but then you have a ton of outfielders, and you're gonna have to play Ibanez or McKinstry pretty much every day at third, which I guess is fine. I don't know how they're going to manage that. I would imagine it's Malloy, but we can keep an eye on that as the day gets closer. I think for now, let's just focus on getting him healthy and getting him back up here, because that'll be another, hopefully, decently professional hitter that the Tigers can put in this lineup. And then Bo Brisky started a rehab assignment as well, getting sent to West Michigan. So that's a great sign as well. Obviously, as I just mentioned, pitchers. So he'll go to West Michigan, then he'll probably go to Toledo after a few outings in West Michigan. And then after a few outings in Toledo, he will get the call and be back up in this bullpen. So great to see. That's pretty much all I got, man. Like, you're still 18-12. I'm not freaking out, right? Everything is still okay. You weren't going to win every single series the rest of the season. You're on the road against a really good Astros team. It's April. It's okay. You still have one of the best records in the entire American League, even after this. All is good. And like I said, I think the biggest thing for me is just trying to highlight why they lost this game and why they've lost the last two games. And if that's, if those are problems that are going to be reoccurring, then, red flags and sirens start going off. And that's why I am legitimately concerned to an extent about the bottom half of the lineup's production the rest of the season. This game in a vacuum did not make me just stop believing in the bullpen this season. So that's kind of why I'm a little more tame about this one. Avoid the sweep. You got Jackson Jobe against still TBD. I guess the Astros just have no clue who they're throwing out there on Wednesday. And yeah, if you avoid the sweep, you're still 19-12 with one of the best records in baseball very quickly. Like, you're still that's still the caliber of win-loss record you've had. So go out there and make that happen. Detroit basketball. I'll be there Thursday. Can't wait. Yeah. Thanks for making Locked On Tigers your first listen every single day. Shout out to the everydayers that do tune in every day. We, of course, will be back tomorrow. And we'll be recapping this finale against the Astros. Hopefully, Jobe can put a good outing under his belt. And go check out MLB Game Night. I know I tell you all this every day, but genuinely, it is so cool. It is every game, every night, all season long, literally 7 days a week. You can get local analysis on a national scale. Find MLB Game Night on Locked On MLB's YouTube page or wherever you listen to your podcast if you want to listen after the fact on audio form. Okay, I'll stop rambling. Appreciate you all greatly for tuning in even after a loss. Peace and love. Going to therapy's dope, and I'll catch y'all tomorrow, baby. Go Tigers.